Kurt. Hello everybody and welcome to Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. Today it's 5 o'clock in the UK and I think it's something like 9 o'clock. No, I can't. Hang on a second. Mike, what time is it in Denver?
10 a.m. 10 a.m.
All right, so it's 10 a.m. in Denver. I can't even remember my international time. So welcome to Tea and Coffee with Mike and Martin. Mike, what have you got in your cup today?
I have got a fantastic roast of generic blend from the grocery store that I don't know what it is, but I've put enough cream into it to make it palatable, and it's delicious and doing the job. How are you? What do you got?
What have I got? So today, if I just bring that really close up to the camera, I don't know if it'll zoom or get it. Today I've got some light apple juice that's glistening in the sun. Let me just have a quick taste of this, see what it's like. Oh, that's very refreshing. So Mike, tell me about your week. How are you feeling and what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I think I probably need to address the elephant in the room that is my appearance. And we've all heard of the quarantine haircut, and because they have barbershops and ladies salons and everything were closed out here in Colorado as deemed non-essential. And you had mentioned last week, if you were to do quarantine all over again, you would have gotten a haircut, and I couldn't agree more. So I attempted to cut my son's hair, and one side looked excellent. It was probably one of the best fades I've ever given. The other side, not so much. So we landed on buzzing his hair off, and in order to make him feel okay and me sell it to him that it was completely okay to have a buzz cut, I had to follow suit. So I took care of that over the weekend, and it's, you know, I tell you, it's definitely cooler, right? I'm not as warm up top as I used to be. And the other thing that I've got going on is I was looking at my calendar, and this week, Martin, I'm representing your country because in 2 days, if anything wouldn't have changed, I'd be flying to the UK to come visit for some meetings, but that all got pushed. So that's what we had go on last week and this week. But this week's football jersey is courtesy of the Three Lions, the England national team. I hope you're familiar with them. Maybe you've even seen them once or twice in your life. But this was picked up for me by a friend. And since I visited there, I allowed for it to be worn and shown. But I'm definitely missing the opportunity to be face-to-face with you and the rest of our friends out there in London. What about you got going on? What happened last week?
What have I got going on? Well, as you can probably see from some of the guys here, the sun is beaming through the window at the moment. If I go too far forward, oh my gosh, I'm British. We're used to rain. We're used to kind of not a lot of sunshine and not a lot of sun. So we're in lockdown. We've entered into another 3 weeks worth of lockdown. Our esteemed leader, Boris Johnson, has decided that, and I have to totally agree with him, that another 3 weeks would be sensible, maintaining social distancing and other bits and pieces to keep us safe. The number of cases reported, the number of people that are unfortunately dying as a result of the infection is also on the decline. So we're really hoping that's going to continue. For me personally, well, no, for me professionally, streaming has become a way of life. Toys and gadgets have become a way of life. Supporting lots of different people to do streams, hosting streams, co-presenting on streams. Because here in the UK, I have very stable internet. I'm able to host video calls and do the restreaming from here, just to take the, I suppose, the heavy lifting of the internet off some of the places where their internet is particularly bad. We had fun. We did a live stream training in Kenya virtually, and it was interesting how people were dropping in and out throughout the stream. Some people even joined through voice call because they just couldn't even get video. So having somebody outside of their nation with a stable internet connection really made an absolute huge difference to being able to host and do something without worrying, that if the connection dropped, that the whole meeting would finish. And believe me, I've been on some calls where the person hosting, their internet's died, and then it just ends for everybody, and everyone's kind of like, do we join? Do we rejoin? What happens now? So that's been absolutely hilarious. And Mike, I'm so glad that you're wearing your 3 lions on your chest. It's a wonderful time to have the 3 lions on. So I'm intrigued. What's going to be next week's football shirt?
Oh, it'll be a momentary decision. I think right before we hop on here, my kids actually remind me that this has become a thing. So, but I guess given that Bo has you all locked down for another 3 weeks, and we're not going to get cleared, we're starting to ease back in where I'm at. But we're not opening up everything. We're not going back to normal. But I guess we could count on at least next week for sure. As something of a stream to continue on, because your point is well taken. The longer this goes on, the more regular occurrence this type of training becomes. And what's interesting to me is that you have a stable connection in the UK. I have one in the US. Yet there's still tech issues, and you figure that it would only get better as things begin to ease and people begin to get better at things, but that hasn't necessarily been true. And if that's true of our countries where, we're not streaming in HD or 4K or, very fast speeds, I can only imagine what some of the other countries out there are getting from a standpoint of bandwidth. And the big conversation is broadband more of a utility rather than a want, need / luxury? And will it start to be regulated and treated like a utility? And this whole shutdown is really proving that case that it might be more of a utility, much like water, electric, and gas are in many places.
Interesting. Now, what's even more interesting than that, Mike, is as you were talking about technology, as you were talking about the stability of the internet, your audio was streaming just fine, but your video was freezing all over the place. With the demand that's been put on the internet, we generally recommend people to, and Mike's done this and he's even still having problems, to hardwire, to get a network cable and plug their computers into the internet where possible. Because there are so many people on Wi-Fi and so many Wi-Fi signals just colliding against each other because of the amount of data, and we're all on similar channels, it's really putting a stress on not just the internet, but on the Wi-Fi that's in our area. If you're in a densely populated area, if you live in an apartment or a flat, and you have significantly more people broadcasting both a 5G and a 2.4G wireless connection, you can still be experiencing internet problems, even if you're just a couple of meters or right next to your router. So that's really, really interesting. So Mike, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, it's looking at our agenda because remember, our goal is to get better every time we do this. And so we've already taken care of our intro. So I am striking that off. That we talked about what we know we're going to go into tech, right? We have a tech portion that we're going to talk about. I want to hear about the coolest things that you have seen or heard of in the last week, ministry-wise, right? I want to hear, and we're going to talk about digital academies because we have partner organizations who we are great friends with that we've done work with. And you mentioned that you're doing some digital academies with our teams in Kenya, and you've been really Africa and Middle Eastern focused. But we have people all over the world that are starting to embrace this a little bit here and abroad. I mean, I got a call from Canada last week asking, what are you doing to reach young people digitally? And I was like, well, we're doing a lot of these academies to help make the product a little bit better so that we can reach people. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So Martin, what is the coolest thing ministry-wise that you have heard or seen in the past week?
That is really interesting. So in the past 7 days, one of the coolest things, and I did mention it earlier, was Kenya's desire to host a mini digital academy, to do a mobile film school online, and that was really encouraging, really exciting. We planned it a couple of weeks ago. We decided that Zoom would be the place that it would happen, and we got about 22 people who joined us for this training. We decided it would be an hour long, and it was a bit of a refresher to the Africa Academy that we did at the Kayara Center just outside of Johannesburg, which was a lot of fun. But these guys are hungry and excited to use media to connect with people in a way that is just truly exciting. But they don't just want to do the same as everybody else is doing. They don't want to just go, hey, let's just make videos. They want to be more impactful with their content. So they're not focusing on social media platforms or YouTube or picking different platforms and saying, let's do the best we can do in this platform. They're committing to an excellence within their content creation, within their story, within the narrative they put through, within the call to action that they put in at the end. And that's a really interesting approach to take, that you're not necessarily saying, okay, let's get 10,000 followers on Facebook, let's get our YouTube channel up to this many numbers, because the numbers are irrelevant. The numbers don't mean a great deal if you don't actually have good solid content, if you don't have a call to action and the ability to follow up. So I'm very excited about what they're going to be producing. They're slightly anxious with their ability to create in a time of lockdown. The lockdown in and across Africa is a lot more strict than it is in a lot of other places. So when they say we're going to lock down for 21 days, a lot of the time it is 21 days in your home and you are not allowed to leave. You need to get everything that you need into your home for the full duration of the lockdown, which is hugely challenging. So that's one really cool thing that I've seen. The other one is we've got 5 or 6 nations that have now started down what we call the DASK route, the DASK app, the Dare to Ask. And I've just been over the last week speaking to our Italian team, our Lebanese team, our German team, who've been really trying to figure out what it looks like to put content in a discipleship space and to keep spiritual conversations alive with young people as they move forward. But they're also thinking about it from not only a discipleship perspective, but from like an alpha perspective. You know, these guys are connecting with their friends. What kind of things can they produce that allow those spiritual conversations to keep moving forward? But then once we come out of lockdown, once quarantine is over, what are they going to do? How are they going to keep contact? How are they going to put on events that then draw people in? And how can they make it look similar? Because if you join an online community and suddenly it goes to a real community, it's a very interesting space to exist in. So I'm excited to see how they progress through this time and what is going to emerge out of the other side. That's back over to you, Mike.
That's fascinating and very interesting. I hate using the word interesting now. Like if there's one word other than Zoom, COVID, and social distancing, like interesting is like one of the ones that's like, oh my gosh, everything is interesting because I don't have a good word for it. But that's my soapbox. The coolest thing I saw this past week was really just an understanding or a under appreciation of how big of a reach people that do video well have. And I mean that from 2 points that helped me clarify this. When the first one was our church service, I go to a pretty good sized church. It's not a mega church by any means. I think there may be a couple hundred people on a Sunday during one of the services, but we've switched everything to online. And then they did this thing where they asked everybody to check in, like, where are you checking in from? And then they dropped pins, on a digital map and then showed where they were checking in from. And, I live in South Denver metropolitan area, and sure, there's a bunch of pins there. And then you see a pin in Alaska, which is 4,000 miles away, or on Albania, or Sydney, Australia, or all these other places that checked in, and people watched the loop. They watched the video at a later date, and then they updated where they were at. And then so you saw this scatter plot. If you take the globe and lay it flat and drop pins everywhere, you're like, holy cow, I'm reaching people in different time zones. I'm reaching people in different countries, different dialects, people that used to live here but got transferred for military or mission work, whatever that looks like, are still logging in to hear a Sunday message for an hour. So I was like, all right, let's do that with a youth group, right? And let's take a look at the youth group, one of the larger ones that I got to sit on that only has about 30 people, right? And I look at that, and they did the same type of thing where we said, where are you checking in from? And sure, we're not checking in from multiple countries, but the youth group had 30 people attend it, and the video was posted live and shared and encouraging others to come join. And the scatter plot, if you zoom out on Denver, says, Denver's got 4 million people in the general area. You're hitting lots of different areas there. And we got well more than 30 views. It was more than like 140 views, I think, the last time I looked at it, which is 3-4 times the amount of people that attended it are seeing that people are getting along, that are enjoying the company of others, that are forming a connection during this crisis. And you're talking to a guy that if there's traffic out there, I'm not going more than 1 or 2 exits up the highway from my house because I don't want to deal with it. So we're overcoming that, and people from neighboring towns and cities are still interacting. So I thought that was a really unique visual and appreciated how much we are actually reaching people, and would be very curious to see if we did the similar check-in. We're going to find people in the UAE, in Canada, Thailand, depending on the hours, like where are people watching us from. So that was my interesting thing for the week.
Excellent. I'm just watching the sun beaming more on me. So today we're going to be talking a lot about some technology and bits and pieces, and about how there's some free stuff and there's some paid stuff out there that you can take full advantage of. And it's a conversation that I've been having an awful lot recently, which is how do I stream? What technology do I need to use? How do I connect my camera? That's great, but can I buy it cheaper? That's great, but can I buy it cheaper? And that's great. Can I get it even cheaper? And so there's a couple of things that I want to say to you, which is, one, yes, you can do it for free. Two, if you want to do it professionally, you're going to really struggle to do it for free. You're going to have to add a level of technology in there that you are going to have to pay for. And so I'm Mac based, I'm Apple based. So for me, there are not fewer solutions out there, but the the streaming market has been very much dominated by a platform called Twitch, and gamers streaming out their, Fortnite, Call of Duty style games out, FIFA, Formula One, and streaming them out through Twitch on their through their PCs. So there's a lot of technology that's out there that you can use on your PC laptop, and it doesn't have to have a great deal of power. I recently purchased the Ava Media LGP Lite interface, which has a HDMI, a USB, so you're able to bring a camera directly into your computer. For me, being Apple-based, I use more Black Magic products. So I use the Ultra Studio recorder, and I use the ATM Television Studio and an Intensity Extreme. Because I'm trying to bring a lot more feeds into my unit and then stream them out. So at the moment I have a camera connected that you're viewing me on. I have a laptop connected that Mike's streaming through, and another laptop that's beaming through a presentation. So with that in mind, I'm going to switch over and show you a few web pages, and I switch my audio over at the same time. So here we go. All right, so the audio is coming from 3. So on screen now we have something called OBS Studio. This is the Open Broadcaster software. Now this is a Mac, Windows and Linux based platform that allows you to pick a portion of your screen and broadcast it out live. And you can connect to services like CastR, you can connect to services like Restream, or you can connect directly to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and in some cases Instagram, but that's a different story entirely. The Open Broadcast software is absolutely free. It does require a level of technical knowledge to actually get you up and running, but there's a whole open source community there that are basically going to keep you keep you on your toes. You can pull in multiple feeds and you can do audio delays. So there's a lot you can do. But again, you still need to be able to either capture so if you're using your webcam, this is great. That's built directly into your laptop. If you want to bring in a signal from an external camera, that's a little bit more complicated, and I'll show you something about that in a second. All right, that's solution number 1. So Open Broadcast, if you want to connect multiple devices to your computer and broadcast them out. Number 2 is a software-based system, B.Live, a professional, easy way to stream online to Facebook and to YouTube. It has one of these little WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get kind of interfaces going on. So you have the ability to do side-by-side video, put people in waiting rooms, bring them in, bring live chat on screen and other bits and pieces. So it's designed for people who want to get online and do streaming, don't have a lot of hardware, typically want to use their webcam, but does give you the ability to bring in additional cameras through some hardware options. Again, it's not free. There's a free trial for 28 days, which works really well. But then again, it's about $20 a month once you want to start streaming and be a bit more professional with it. If you're new to streaming, this is absolutely fantastic. All right, for those of us who are on Mac, eCam is a platform that is software based, so you download a bit of software onto your computer and then you set everything up and stream it directly from your computer. Okay, it's very interesting because you have all of these different panels and windows, so you can do all of the social integration for questions and things like that. It has an additional interface so you can monitor your feeds and things, but ultimately it's designed to make it more trouble-free and hassle-free for you to be able to create an engaging stream. Again, it's not a completely free platform. You can download a trial and try it out for 14 days, and if you decide you like it, $20 a month or thereabouts. With all of these things, I do say try them out, see what you think, and then once you actually are happy with it, pick which one you're going to buy. All right, what's next? Lightcast. Again, Lightcast is relatively new to the market. It does all the same things that the other ones do, but it just does it a little bit easier. With Ecamm and with Lightcast, you can put overlays onto your screen. You can put your logo, you can put countdown timers and other bits and pieces, and you can set things called scenes. So you can layer different scenes. So with shortcuts, you can go, Control 1 is you talking to the camera, Control 2 is then you basically with a video so people can watch it, and you could have Control 4, which is then a countdown timer. You can bring in sound effects and other bits and pieces. So there's lots of different things that you can do by layering it on. And these are both, so Ecamm is software based, you download the software. BeLive and Lightstream are browser based, so everything happens inside the browser window. Let me go back.
That more professional news feel where you can put titles at the bottom, where you can add infographics and stuff like that for your presentations?
Whoa. 1 second. Mike was just asking a question. Mike, can you just ask your question again? Because I muted your audio.
Okay, so what I was asking was the last one, the light not Lightroom, but not Lightsaber, that one for the lay people. Is that the one that allows you to have like that newsy type feel where you can put the banners and the names and the infographics up on your screen relatively easy? Because that's the desire that people I'm seeing, or that, like, the Zoom call is great. You can change your name, you can change your background, but if you're trying to up it a level, you want to make sure you have that professional appeal. Is that the product that we discussed for that?
Okay, so that's similar. Yeah, so there's StreamDock, BeLive, and Lightstream are all very much similar things. They're all software based. They give you that kind of Fox News looking thing, CNN News, where you've got the different people. You can have the tickers and other bits and pieces on them. The Ecamm is a software based one that allows you to do very similar things, but it takes the heavy lifting of the processing out of the browser and onto your computer. So the answer to that is yes. The difference being is that when it is browser based, it's processing everything through your web browser, which is great. But if you're wanting to do a lot and achieve a lot, you got to have a relatively powerful computer to be able to cope with the transitions, the rendering, and moving it all around. When you move on to software based, it's then using the performance of the computer. You don't need a computer that is as highly powered, because the software is running within your computer and it's able to use the RAM, the CPU and the GPU to be able to process and do more with it. So those are the two different kind of solutions that are out there. Often you combine the different things. So the browser-based ones typically will stream to one platform, to one Facebook, to one YouTube channel. And the software ones will often do the same. They will all generally stream to one platform. Where you need it to go to multiple platforms, that's when you end up spending a little bit more money. You end up needing to spend money to stream, to recast, restream to multiple platforms. And both the software ones, so the Open Broadcast and the Ecamm, allow you to get the stream to a service that then allows you to then restream that out. The browser-based ones typically let you go to a Facebook or to YouTube, but you have to pay quite a lot more money if you want to send it to a restreaming or to multiple locations. And I'm going to say more, typically around $50 a month is what you end up paying for those things. So if I just throw this back up on, and just make sure my audio is on for 2. So just going on to that, okay, so there's that on screen. CastR is the system that I'm using. Now here's something really peculiar. If I log into CastR, so CastR allows me to recast. So I take a single video feed, which is coming from here, from my house, and it allows me to then stream that out onto multiple platforms. So here I'm streaming to the Facebook International, and I'm streaming to YouTube at the same time. And you can see a little preview of the screen. So if I just quickly put myself back on screen, then when I come back to that, you'll see that I was on there for a split second. So it's basically taking the signal that I'm sending it, and it's recasting it to 2 platforms. And I can add any number of platforms to this. If I hit the Add Platform button, I can go, all different Facebooks, Twitch, Mixer, Vimeo. There are lots of different platforms that I could go to stream live and directly out. All right. Let's go on to some crazy hardware. Now, a relatively newcomer to the streaming market is the ATEM Mini Pro. They have the Mini and the Mini Pro. This is a hardware switcher and encoder. So for many of you who, I've got a really old version of this unit, but I'm looking to actually upgrade to this because at the moment I have a streamer. So I have a TV panel that's bringing in all of my different feeds. I'm just scrolling down to see if it can. So I've got a TV panel bringing in my feeds. I've got a hardware streamer streaming to a streaming service, and I've got all the tech currently plugged in. The ATEM Mini Pro and the ATEM Mini. So the ATEM Mini is $325. The Pro is $525. This is a streamer, encoder, mixer, monitor, live preview, and archiver built into one box. This would and even has a green screen chroma key built in there as well. This thing would normally, as in its previous iterations, in the more professional bodies, this is a $5,000 unit that now is going to take the streaming market by storm, as it has picture-in-picture, green screen, streaming, live up keys, and bits and pieces that you can do. That is just, you can plug in professional grade mics into this. You can save it. It's even got a buffer that allows you to lose your internet connection and continue to stream, and then instead of it missing 20 seconds, it will then pick up 20 seconds where it left off and continue to stream. It also has the ability it has a scaler in. Most of these units don't have scalers in, so you have to make sure that every signal is exactly the same and going in. This thing will take pretty much any signal from anything and stream it and convert it. So you can plug laptops and different format cameras running at different frame rates. You can plug your Apple TV. You could do pretty much anything into this thing and it will work. It's a scary beast. It's going to really change the face of the way that things are being streamed. But here's the thing. We, as not a nation, but a global community, are looking to increase the professional level in which at which we stream. Therefore, these kind of products are beginning to come, well, they are in high demand at the moment. This thing's basically sold out on pre-order before it's even hit the streets. So it's kind of amazing already. So that's a hardware solution. So that's my final. If I close that window down, then that is my final thing. So let me just go back to the audio follows video here for myself and Mike as everything goes. So yeah, buttons here, buttons there, and buttons there. Everything's going. Right, back over to you, Mike.
It's quite interesting. I mean, the level of depth of knowledge you have technically is vastly superior to mine. And the folks that love this stuff, I'm watching some of the comments. Shanae's like, wow, and like, yeah, it's super cool. But that's the part of being leading edge, right? Figuring out the best solutions early on, so that you're not playing catch up later on in life. You mentioned that particular piece of equipment is already sold out and on back order. I tried to buy a webcam for my grandmother the other day. I can't find one for under $300. Like a $55 webcam is now $300, and because of the back order and the supply. So if anything, that's just kind of a leading indicator So people are going to have this equipment. It's going to do one of two things. It's going to collect dust, or they're going to use it a lot. And I'm betting that people are going to use it more and more. Hence why we are doing all these things that we are doing. And the level of the technology that you have there is, like I said, above mine. Martin, we've done 2 or 3 together. I know you've done at least 3 online. Are we in a position over the next couple of weeks to offer an online digital academy, not just to our YFCI folks, but to our general population of fans and watchers and people out there? Do we think that, I mean, with the setup that you have there, and maybe we bring in a James, a Jim, a Joyson, someone else with a letter J in their name, to help facilitate, like, because I think that we have a knowledge base around, we have great trainers, and it can really be, and I'm just spitballing here because we're already over, so may as well continue. Like, we can take the technical aspects that you have and the content aspects that I can help bring to the table, and maybe we put on a digital academy that is not YFCI specific and just share it with the kingdom. Is that something you think we can get wrapped up in the next 2 weeks, or the next 2 weeks?
Absolutely, Mike. I think it's really important. There's a lot of conversations going on where people are planning for the future, but we have a present, a very real present, where people are trying to connect and they're trying to figure things out. And especially now that online delivery is back pretty much to the way it was before. So I think over the next 2 weeks, I think certainly next week, we're going to look to host a form of digital academy, and we're going to bring in, like Mike says, a few additional specialists. And we're going to take some time just to go through what it is. We'll create some content for you, but we'd love to know what kind of things you would like to know, what kind of things you're struggling with. So we're going to do it in 2 parts. First part is we'll do a good old-fashioned presentation, digital academy, and we'll run through some of the things like mobile video creation, online discipleship, online seeker environments. So basically, how do you connect with young people that are searching for answers about faith? How do you connect with people to maintain discipleship community? What kind of tools are available for you? So like what we've just covered, but in a little bit more detail. And then do the second part, which is a Q&A, where we sit back and we go, okay, you as a community have asked questions. Let's see how we can answer them. And so we'll do some of the live questions on screen and bits and pieces and see where that goes. But I think next week we should definitely do that, and then we should try and do some weekly follows ups and other bits and pieces to try and keep our community fed, as it were.
Yeah, I think that I have 4 or 5 questions that regularly come in from viewers. Last week was how do we make a music video, right? Like, let me ask, like, we can teach people how to take an iPhone, right? A basic iPhone, film a video, and through the software that comes with it, loop music behind it, right? Like, that's not hard. But for most people, that is hard because they don't, it's probably just 2 or 3 steps, but they don't understand how easy it can be. We can solve problems like that. We always get the lighting questions. We handled the sound. This week, you went way nerdy with all the technical aspects because that's your wheelhouse, and I salute you there for that. So I'm going to kick that around a little bit. I'm watching some of the comments come in online that online digital academy would be great. And being as I'm not flying anywhere, I'm not going to England at the end of the week, I think I have the bandwidth. So I think we can figure that out for you all out there. And my encouragement would be that if we nail down a date, which I think we're going to do, it's probably, what's today, 22nd, so 29th, the first week of May, that we have an audience that you have a couple people out there that you think would benefit for this. Maybe it's your tech person at your church. Maybe it's the real smart person in your youth group. Maybe it's you. right? But share that with everybody else. And we get, a couple hundred views per video that we do out there here, but the real-time Q&A will add a lot there. So I encourage you to share this event going on. And if it goes on well, great, we'll keep doing it. If it's a complete bomb, we will learn all the ways not to do something. So it's like, I've never failed at anything. I've just figured out all the ways it doesn't work, and take that mentality to try to reach everybody digitally.
So coming into land, yes, next week. Somebody just asked me, by the way, on a comment, what am I fidgeting with? I often forget that I have things in my hand and I fidget an awful lot. I was just going to say that it doesn't have to be a super complicated camera that you use for any of this stuff. This is a Sony HX80, I think it is. HX90, very simple, point and shoot with a little flippy screen. But it has, let's have a see. I don't know if that's going to focus on that, but it has a HDMI. No, it's not going to focus on that. It has a HDMI out, which gives me a clean HDMI output. And we're going to talk about that kind of thing. What's the lowest level of tech I can get away with that I can plug into my computer and it still gives me a awesome looking video feed? Because let's face it, anything's better than the webcam on your computer. So anyway, Digital Academy starting next week, and Q&A to follow. We're going to put it out probably on Facebook so we can get that interactivity. We'll probably use a piece of software called eCam, which is a Mac-based piece of software, just to give you those nerdy people a little heads up on that one. And yeah, we'll have some fun with it. So, Mike, final thoughts, and do you want to close us up, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody?
Sure. I'd say that if you stuck around with us for the entire part of this today, consider yourself blessed and educated, because I learned something new about what's out there. And while it doesn't make a lot of sense of me today, if I take the time to research it, we're going to hear those names, much like people that didn't know what Zoom was a month and a half ago. You're going to start to see these platforms become the mainstays of successful digital evangelism programs. So thank you, Martin, for sharing your expertise with us. Those that are out there, we're in week 6. I've got all my hair cut off. Hopefully you haven't yet. You're still staying strong. I am at peace, and I'm at peace because I finally have acknowledged, for myself, that the Lord is still reigns. He is still in control. The sun still rises. And we as an organization, Martin and I, we're making a lot of lemonade, and I'm seeing the fruit of this effort be produced in other people's streams, other people's youth groups, church services getting better, all that stuff. So while I am excited to get back to normal, I'm really excited about the level of quality that has happened from the basic church services to the youth groups continuing on. So continue to be encouraged in that, folks. Continue to pray for a great solution, but also be thankful that we have made the progress we have thus far. So I'm going to go ahead and close and pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time. Thank you for the technology, the old technology, the new technology. Lord, thank you for the people that are watching, that are giving us moments of their time so that they can learn, so that they can help shed some light on situations to people that need it, to help spread your word to those that need it most, Lord. And thank you for your Son, right, whose grace is sufficient for everything. Thank you for what he did on the cross. We celebrated a couple weeks ago, and I like to remember it more than just once a year, Lord. So thank you for all you've continually provided for us, and we're excited to see what you're going to do with our talents next. It's in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So have a great week. I have no idea what I'm going to look like next time, right? But hopefully it's better. So we'll see. Take care, Martin. Good to see you, buddy.